We're going through a final rehearsal at Uni Southern Cross Lounge, where the show will open its week-long Newcastle season tomorrow night. This sketch about the police and all the other material in the show has been written by the students. Just about everything, from the Bible to the Ethiopian famine, is fair game. Under the title of Rex Hunter's Travelling Horseman Show, the review will go on tour in London time to Macquarie and Wollongong University, Mitchell College and the University of New England. It's the first time any university review in New South Wales has gone on tour. Director Marilyn Craig says it's time we did something more than touring to other countries. This review may make our sports team seem a bit
In this heat yesterday, Watson beat the opposition just as he'd done for most of the 5-round series. He then hit the final on 40 points, 5 ahead of the Wallsend youngster Paul Caslick, with Kevin Stephen on 27 points and Stephen Davies on 24. Davies had the hard luck story of the day, and in the final when he lost his bike while leading his heat. In the final, the leading point scorers were out of the plate due to the handicapping system. Watson had enough points to win the series from Caslick and Curtin. The hard-fought sidecar series was resolved with Jeff Lawrence and Darryl Hall of Raymond Terrace winning the King of the Hunter crown. In basketball over the weekend, the Newcastle Falcons managed to stay in the playoff race of the National Basketball League after a strong performance against the Illawarra Hawks. While the home side always looked like winning the hard-fought match, at the 11th hour the Hawks were back with every chance of snatching a win on the line. But it was not to be. The Falcons won 112 to 110.
Just using up time, extra time, and the Falcons stay alive in the National Basketball League by beating the Illawarra Hawks by 2.
David Lowe, who now plays for the Sydney side Marconi, says he's looking forward to the clash
Be
with
very
the
hard to
Red
play.
Star
They're a
Belgrade
top-class
team.
European side. I watched them in Sydney on Sunday, and they looked very good on the ball. They moved it around well. So they'll be very hard to beat.
What kind of tactics do they use that we don't employ here?
They tend to play the game with a little bit of a slower build-up, more emphasis on the skill. In Australia, we tend to be a little bit more physical, but they base their game on technique and skill.
What do you think the chances are for the Northern New South Wales team?
I wouldn't like to say. It's hard to compare. It depends on the attitude of the Yugoslavs, whether they take the game as seriously as they might a European game. But I think we'll be there to give a good account of ourselves and put on a show for the people.
The two-car accident happened at about 1 o'clock this afternoon at the intersection of Marks Point Road with the Pacific Highway. This early model Holden station wagon entered the highway from Marks Point and collided with the yellow sedan. The sedan was travelling north on the highway at the time. Killed was the driver of the station wagon, Arthur William Price, 81, at Pelican. 3 young men and 2 young women in the yellow car were taken to Belmont Hospital, but all were allowed to leave. A short time later, another elderly driver had a luckier escape when his brown Marina landed in the front yard of a house in Lambton. The car veered out of control over a median strip off Lloyd Road and destroyed the front brick fence. Nobody was hurt, just the driver's pride.
The groundwork on the 6-hectare site has begun, and not before time. Council officers say the administration has outgrown its offices in the centre of town, and that's why the new centre became necessary.
The facilities we have at the present time are totally inadequate. The staff is cramped, they're just out of date, and it had to make the decision to move, and selected a site and designed a building to hopefully take us up in the next 50 years.
The centre will include council administration, the council chamber and associated offices. But it's hoped that in the future other council-related buildings will be constructed on the site. Meanwhile, work is underway for the amenities block at Victoria Park. The project manager, New England Construction, says the roof will be erected within the next 2 weeks, and then fitting out will begin. The block will incorporate showers, toilets and change rooms, as well as a multi-purpose room to be used by sporting clubs and community groups. A 400-metre international standard athletics track and floodlighting will also be installed. The project will cost some $5 million, with the multiple athletics club helping the council to meet the
More than 160 students from 13 countries in high school attended the lectures which were addressed by women who have already established themselves in industry and business. The day was organised to develop an awareness of career opportunities that now exist for women, commonly described as non-traditional. They include occupations such as surveying, architecture and electrical engineering. The students were given the chance to experience these firsthand. Organiser of the day, University Women's Officer Rose Vivian, says that although discrimination against women in the workforce still exists, the
discrimination
situation is improving.
Well, again from the speakers today, they've all been discriminated against at certain levels, not having equal pay and having to prove themselves a little bit more just to be accepted into the workplace. But things are improving. There are government programs and industries are beginning to become a bit more aware of women doing non-traditional things, and it is looking better.
Last night's match was the first international played in Newcastle this season. From the time details of the clash were announced a fortnight ago, it had promised to be an exciting encounter. Red Star opened the scoring in the 90th second of the match, and it wasn't until the 63rd minute that Northern New South Wales could manage the equaliser through Darren Stewart. Although the local team featured guest appearances from former Newcastle players David Lowe and Peter Stone, it was the visitors who came home in the end. They showed the form that makes them one of Europe's most popular sides, and scored 2 goals in the last 8 minutes to make the final score 3-1. One regular with Rosebud United who wasn't playing last night is 19-year-old Mark Jones. He leaves for Europe and Russia tomorrow as part of the Australian under-20 side to compete in the World Youth Championships, and he feels Australia has a good chance.
We should at least hopefully make the quarterfinals, and from there just luck plays a part there, and hopefully be able to make the semi-finals, finals hopefully.
And for you personally, where do you see your career going once you get back? Do you intend staying in Newcastle?
I'd say I should stay in Newcastle for a year, couple more years, yeah, at least. And depends on how I go overseas as to what my future holds.
The exhibition features the work of husband and wife team Larry and Mary Beeston. The Beestons have been designing and weaving tapestries and transparencies from their studio at Coal Point for several years, but this is the first exhibition of their work at the Lake Macquarie Community Gallery. All of the 13 woven transparencies are made from natural fibres such as linen, wool, cotton and silk. 2 of the works are on loan for the exhibition, one entitled Autumn from Newcastle University and the other Lentil Altar Front from Christchurch Cathedral. The exhibition continues until the 8th of September. about 20 angry parents and concerned residents of Cessnock gathered outside the council chambers. The group claims the council has provided inadequate and conflicting information about which footpaths may be used by cyclists. The group also claims boys under 15 years of age have been summoned to appear in court without being given a written caution first.
They're being treated like criminals, they're having summonses delivered by policemen, and they have to affront children's court. It gives them not much respect for the law. And we're trying to bring the children up to respect policemen, and this is not the case.
Can the children pay the fines on the spot?
Unfortunately, no. They must be processed through court, and it runs into something like $80, which many parents don't have.
How many children so far have been prosecuted?
There have been 10 prosecutions to date, and there are another 6 or 7 that we know of on August 19th facing court.
While the group came prepared to do battle with council, they found an unexpected ally in the form of Cessnock Mayor, Alderman Gordon Williams. Alderman Williams defended recent statements he has made in the local press that children would only be fined if found riding on the footpaths in the main streets of Cessnock, Curry and Westwood. This directly conflicted with the decision reached by council as a whole that all footpaths in the 3 towns were out of bounds. Alderman Williams also proposed that the 3 most recent summons be revoked, because in his mind there was some doubt as to whether the offences had occurred. The motion was defeated 8 votes to 6. Alderman Williams said he was extremely disappointed by the result and said he believed council had gone too far.
Any child apprehended in our main streets or main thoroughfares where there is a lot of pedestrians, I will be the first one to support any summons against them. But where there is doubt, and under the circumstances in this case, I think council could have withdrawn them.
Yes, a number of
Mr. Murray claims such a party would be counterproductive to rural interests because it would split the already small country vote.
As a result of it, I believe they're doomed to failure. However, if they do succeed, they are basically splitting the country vote, and we cannot afford that in rural New South Wales.
How many rural seats are there in the state?
25 true rural seats. That's a small voice in 99. And when you've got such a small voice from all of country New South Wales, you can't afford to have it split.
The news was broken to Mike Walsh fans by Mike Walsh himself at the start of what was to be his final program. He said the possibility of the show ending before his 2-year contract had lapsed had been the subject of discussions for the past 2 weeks, and that matters had been finalised only yesterday morning. Mike Walsh said he would not dwell on the decision.
I am a showman and I pride myself on being a performer, so I'm not going to wallow in misery or self-pity. We're not going to go on a nostalgic trip tonight. I believe in being current, and it's a very current show.
Although he blamed economics as one of the reasons for the show being out, Mike Walsh was also swift to defend the program.
It's been the most widely syndicated variety show ever in this country, by over double. And although we haven't always won the ratings, we've put up a pretty good show, and we've had some pretty bloody big movies and miniseries thrown against us to wham us, so that's a compliment in itself.
We have to apologise. The Belmont 16-footers club, one aim was shared, to congratulate each other on the success of their weight loss throughout the year. Between the 30 graduates from the Hunter Region District, the total figure of shedded kilos reached 928.35.
Miss
McMorris, 5-year-old Matthew Lance, her loss of 66.7 kilos, or 9 stones, made her the club's Slimmer of the Year and allowed her to change from a size 24 to 14. According to the Slimmers guidelines to control the waistline, the answer lies in strict calorie counting. But Mac says a lot of positive thought.
You felt like giving up?
Never giving up. There were times when I was a bit hungry, but never giving up.
What advice would you recommend to others that also want to lose weight?
recognise that if they are obese, they will be obese for the rest of their lives, whether they lose weight or not, and control themselves and get help.
You can't do it on your own.